Hey, what's up guys? This is Dr. Lee, and today I'm going to talk about how to not be scrawny as a raw vegan. So one of the things that is really common in this community of raw vegan, plant-based nutrition is that you can start to lose a lot of weight. And I think a lot of people kind of expect that as part of like what they see when they see someone who is raw vegan, and they don't realize that you can actually fill out. And a lot of times that period of being really scrawny is actually a sign that there's something else going on. And that's what I want to crack into here. Is I want to dive into that. So the first thing that is the first thing to pay attention to if you've lost a lot of weight, if you've gone raw, is that it's malabsorption. So one of the things that eating raw is amazing for is your digestive tract. So sometimes it can be hard to wrap your head around thinking that, all right, so I've made this transition. I'm eating raw, I'm eating fruits, I'm eating vegetables, nuts and seeds. I'm doing all the right things. Like, why is it that I've just lost so much weight? And maybe you feel a little bit lethargic, but other systems of your body have started to like come back online. So you know this is the right move for you, or just theoretically you know that this is the right move for you, and you're trying to figure out how to make it happen. But this malabsorption thing is the real deal. So your digestive tract or your digestion as a whole is broken up into several different categories. One is, are you able to to chew up your food, digest it, break it down from its whole food components into the small little tiny particles that are actually going to be the building blocks for your body, namely amino acids, carbohydrates, and lipids that are broken down into their smallest forms so that your body can actually absorb it and utilize it. That's the process of digestion. And that requires you to have proper enzyme production through the different glandular tissues in the body. So things like your stomach secretes certain acids and certain, people know about stomach acid or hydrochloric acid that's produced. There's also pepsin, gastrin. There's different types of little molecules that are reduced, or enzymes, to break down and help with digestion of these food particles. So if that's been compromised maybe for years and you're not producing that very well, then there's a chance that as you're eating stuff, it's not getting fully broken down. And if it's not getting fully broken down, guess what? Your body's not going to absorb that into your small intestines very well. And there's more of this that happens in the small intestine, not just in the stomach. In fact, some of the breakdown of sugars start to actually happen in the saliva itself. So as you're chewing, you're actually able to start breaking things down. It happens more in your stomach, and then it happens even more in your small intestine. But as everything is broken down, you want to know that it's broken down into its smallest components so that you can absorb it. And if you're not able to do that, then you're not going to be able to absorb the nutrition the way that it's supposed to. It also causes fermentation to occur, so that now you can have basically microorganisms that get built up inside of your digestive tract, and they actually work against you, right? Because they're helping to break the food down because you didn't break it all the way down. But that sets up for fungal infections and more of like parasitic relationships that can start to spawn inside of your digestive tract, which we don't want that. Also, it allows fermentation to occur, and we don't want that either, because that's also means that you're not fully breaking down the foods. So that's kind of like the first step, is we want to digest it, we want to break down the foods. The second thing is we want to actually absorb it. So let's say that we got broken down. Well, we need to make sure that it's actually getting into and absorbed through the small intestines, and it's making it into the bloodstream, so that's that second phase of making sure that food goes from the outside and it starts to rebuild our body. And if we've been on a diet that is a non-species specific diet for a long period of time, perhaps our whole life, or you could be like me, who was keto and carnivore and all these things prior to starting to change to a plant-based whole food nutrition lifestyle that's raw. Your intestines are going to be extremely damaged and inflamed. When I took a look at my x-rays, I was shocked, because you don't usually look at soft tissue on x-rays, but you can see shadows of the digestive tract if there's any gas in your intestines. Mine happened to be. And the colon, my colon is supposed to go up like this across the transverse colon, down the descending colon, and then angle down as your sigmoid colon towards your rectum. Well, mine was not at all like that. Mine was like you had the ascending colon and then it prolapsed. It prolapsed all the way down, and then you could see it coming up like this to the descending, and then it would come down and then into the sigmoid. So that means that there has been damage to the tissues severely for a long time. And this is extremely common. Most people have no idea. Like, I wasn't having digestive issues that I was even aware of when I transitioned into a raw food lifestyle. And this is what I was dealing with beneath the surface. And so I was, as I read more about it and I studied this over the years, I was like, wow, this is a more and more common issue. And as I started paying attention to other people's x-rays, I see a lot of people at my chiropractic office, and looking at x-rays, I was shocked at the number of people who had this issue that was showing up, and I could see it in their intestines on their x-rays. And almost every single person who had gas patterns that were showing up, they did not have a normal shaped colon, because when there's so much inflammation and damage for such a long period of time, it winds up wreaking havoc on your intestines, your small intestines and your large intestines. And that then sets the stage for malabsorption, because if you have inflammation in the walls of the intestines, that is where the absorption happens. And if they've been irritated, the little finger-like projections that are microscopic that come off of the intestines themselves that increase the surface area for absorption to occur, those little fingers get all matted up and basically beat up because they've been inflamed for so long that they don't even work. And in fact, instead of having these little tight, imagine a group of people all shoulder to shoulder, and you're only supposed to let tiny little things pass through. Well, there's big gaps of these soldiers in your intestines, and they're not shoulder to shoulder anymore. So bigger things that aren't supposed to get through also start getting through. So it just is and that's called leaky gut, and that starts to wreak havoc on people's systems. And so you're not absorbing foods that you're supposed to. You're absorbing foods that aren't even supposed to be able to make it into the blood. So everything just is backwards. And that's from all this inflammation long-term through the acidic diet that we've been eating that starts to break down and starts to damage our tissues from the inside out, including the intestinal lining. So if you've made the transition and you expect that, hey, you know what, because I started eating raw, everything is going to be hunky-dory, I'm sorry to tell you that the cells in your body are still so full of junk and also been inflamed for so long that they also have caked on matter from old undigested food that's been there for a long time, as well as the cells of the intestinal lining themselves are swollen and full of acidic waste that it has to be dumped out before those cells can ever begin to repair themselves and function normally. So if it's just sitting in there like that, and you don't ever give it the chance to fully purge and get rid of all of its acid waste, as well as heal the tissues, which can take months or years, then you're not going to be absorbing food to the level that you anticipate because you made that change. So it's not like, oh, I started eating raw and everything is going good now. I'm sure I should be good. I'm no longer making mistakes. Well, you're still paying for the mistakes that you made maybe years ago, and that comes back to bite you. And so then you have utilization. So utilization so let's say everything else is good, right? So let's assume that in a great world that you didn't have those other problems. There's still the problem of the food that makes it into the bloodstream, is that getting utilized the way that it's supposed to? And that requires certain endocrine glands to work the way to work and produce their own hormones appropriately, so that you can actually utilize the minerals that you're taking in, the nutrients that you're taking in. The adrenal glands are the primary glands responsible for making sure that you have proper mineral uptake and utilization. So utilization being the key word here. Can you actually use those minerals that came into the body? The parathyroid gland is another one that's responsible for calcium utilization. Are you able to utilize calcium, or is it just going to get stay in the bloodstream? Is it going to get put back into the muscle or back into the bones, as well as the connective tissue? we want to make sure that we have proper utilization of the minerals that are coming into our body. And right now, I can tell you, most people have an adrenal problem. Almost everybody has an adrenal problem. We live in a very toxic, very stressful, like mind toxic world as well. And our adrenal glands have just been totally destroyed. We do not have good adrenal glands as a species right now on human Earth. Even our animals are having, domesticated animals are having severe adrenal issues as well. So the chances are very, very, very strong that even if you transition into a raw food vegan diet, that you're also probably still having troubles with utilization. So that's another thing to really think about. And then elimination is usually something that people start noticing really great improvements with when they go raw. Sometimes it can be a little challenging when you first start going raw because all that extra fiber that your body's not used to can be a lot to tolerate. But usually I'd say a lot of people think, they start noticing like, wow, I'm going to the bathroom way more often than they used to. You start, before maybe you would go once a day, once every couple of days, and you transition to raw, and then it'll be common to start going a lot more frequently. And so that's elimination. We want to make sure we're eliminating the junk out of us, right? So that for the time that we're eating to the time that we're actually getting it out of us, that transit time is very, very short. And we want that to be a really short window. And that is going to be making sure that everything in the digestive process is working the way that it's supposed to. So we want to break it down, we want to absorb it, we want to utilize it, and then we want to excrete it. And when all those things are functioning, then your body is going to, it's now actually going to go through the process of healing on a deeper degree. And when it starts to heal on a deeper degree, you'll actually wind up putting on more weight, because now you can actually go through the process of rebuilding. Because your body's not going to rebuild tissue until it's going to tear down. Once you start putting in proper raw foods, your body is actually going to start tearing down the tissues very, very quickly. It says, we don't need this, let's get rid of it. It goes through like a big purge. And that means that even muscle tissue that you've had that was built poorly, it's going to start to say, hey, we got better building blocks now that are being supplied for a long period of time. So guess what? We're going to start cutting mass, cutting body weight, getting rid of this acid waste out of the lymphatic system. We're going to start flushing cells. We're going to maybe kill off some cells that aren't survivable, and we're going to get them out so we can make new fresh ones. And we're just going to go through this cleaning process. So your body goes through this deep clean. And guess what? If you've ever done a deep clean in your garage or your house, you start throwing a bunch of stuff away. And sometimes you have to throw a bunch of stuff away before you can get new stuff where you can reorganize. And so that purging is what's happening, and the body will start to drop weight. So if you're going through this process, know that it's okay if you've dropped weight. It's not a sign that this isn't working for you. It's not a sign that this is bad. It's just a sign that you may need to support certain organs and certain endocrine glands and certain tissues that have maybe been damaged, and you want to get those jump started. And the best way that you can go about doing this is to do a solid food vacation on nothing but juices. And that helps to get your body to transition into a raw food diet better than anything else that you'll have ever done. It is absolutely amazing. Even if you've been raw for a couple of years, I know people that have done it who've been raw for 4 or 5 years, and they were shocked by just drinking nothing but juices, the stuff that started coming out of them, the amount of intense detox that they went through was mind-blowing, because they thought they were really clean, and they realized that the body had even more deep cleaning that it needed to do, and they had great benefit when they went through that process. But I want to touch on the other thing too, that when people start going raw, that is way overlooked, is just sheerly the quantity of food that you're eating. So calories in and calories out, I know it's not a perfect science. There's a lot of debate around it. And so I disagree that it's a perfect theory. However, it does give us a really, really good guiding post on, how you can track things. It's the best we got. And so if you're actually tracking the amount of food that you're eating, you got to be eating a lot more food, because you need a lot more calories when you're going raw, because you're not packing things in with fats and greasy junk that normally jumps people's calories up a lot, and you need to be eating a lot more. Think about how much animals are eating. They're grazing and eating all day long. So the amount of food that we need to eat is actually considerably higher than you're accustomed to. So that can take a while to get used to that, or your digestive tract to get used to that, so that you can be eating, anywhere between 2,000 to 3,000 calories a day, which is a ton of food. I mean, the salads and stuff that if you eat salads once a day, I know my salad is like anywhere between 3 to sometimes 5 pounds of vegetable matter in my salad. And so like that's a huge transition. I mean, that goes from that's like sometimes like a family of 6 that you would eat off of a salad to like now just eating one person's meal that way. And so the amount of food that you got to get accustomed to eating goes up a lot. You eat a lot more fruits also to make sure that you're getting the good nutrients in as well, and keeping your calories high throughout the day. So these are some things that I want you to really consider, because going on a solid food vacation is the perfect way to jumpstart this system for both, to help you to learn how to eat more and get your calories up, but also to clean out your system, which is even the bigger deal here. Because if you're not cleaned out, then your body is going to continue to tear down and just get junk out of you until that process of repair is over. And unless you reset everything and you really focus your energy intensively on clearing all this stuff out, you can just be revisiting this for sometimes 5-10 years before your body catches up, or sometimes never. You may have been so toxic before that your body never has a chance to fully get back to neutral. So that's my encouragement for you here, because there's so much amazing changes that can start to happen in your body when you adopt the right strategies to transition into a raw food lifestyle for the long haul.